March 10th, 2015, Dennaton released Hotline Miami 2 into the world. It was fantastic. The level editor emerged from beta that December, and since then, we have not heard much from the duo as to what they plan on doing next. You see, Hotline Miami 2 was originally announced as a DLC for the first game before being upgraded into a full-blown sequel. This resulted in fans knowing about the game far too early and put additional pressure on Dennaton during its entire development cycle. Determined not to make the same mistake, the two developers, programmer Jonathan Soderstrom and artist Dennis Whedon, decided to hold out on announcing their next project until it was good and ready, revealing only one thing about it. It was not going to be Hotline Miami 3. There will never be a Hotline Miami 3. Ever. Over 3 years have gone by with no official information on the next game. However, a number of small nuggets of information have been leaked out or teased by the developers about the project. And if you're a fan of Devolver, there's a good chance that you've already seen the gameplay. This video will be putting those pieces together in chronological order, and then speculating what they all mean, as well as analyzing this not-so-hidden secret gameplay reveal. April 18th, 2015, only a month after Hotline 2's release, Dennis did an AMA on the Hotline Miami subreddit. Most of the answers pertain to that franchise and his personal life, but he divulged 3 interesting pieces of information. The first, and most tangible, was their secret next game was not going to be top-down. The second was in response to if the Hotline Miami 1 Russian acrylic title was ever going to be explained in a future game, as per a statement they made in a previous interview. To which he replied, maybe, with a winky face. Some people have thought this may suggest that the game might have roots in the same universe as Hotline Miami. However, I believe this is untrue, as the second game's depiction of America under Russia's thumb explained it well enough. The third was a list of his favorite 5 games: Streets of Rage 2, Probotector, Super Punch-Out, Manhunt, and Bioshock 2. This will be important later. Well over a year passed before we got our first big lead about the game. It was also the most controversial. November 14th, 2016, a Redditor hacked into Dennis Whedon's Dropbox account and leaked a very early build of the first Hotline Miami, back when it was called Cocaine Cowboys. In the public Hotline Discord, he claimed that he also had assets from their upcoming game, called Sector X, saying it was a side-scrolling, post-apocalyptic platformer. This was the first time the community heard the name, but it fit the very small amount of information we had at the time, not top-down, and not Hotline Miami. The community mods acted fast to prevent anything from getting out too far, as there had been a similar incident before Hotline Miami 2's release as well, and contacted Dennaton about the breach. While I'm sure few people have Sector X assets squirreled away on their computer, there's absolutely nothing from the leak that I can find, and all this information is from a post the following day of the leak, and then a post from February 4th, 2018. However, 10 days later, November 24th, 2016, on Dennis's Instagram, he posted a photo of him and Jonathan with laptops, with the caption, "People are talking about Dennaton being dead because the homepage is down and no recent updates." Let me tell you, it's quite the opposite. We just want to work alone for a while. Excited as fuck. And it is not a Hotline Miami game, in any way or form. All new, thank God. The interesting bit is in the comments when community member Technobreaker asked about the name Sector X, and Dennis confirms that Sector X is the working title of their new game. This gives validity to the leaker's claim about a post-apocalyptic side-scroller, and it makes a lot of sense, as Hotline Miami 1 also had a working title, Cocaine Cowboys. So great, we have a title and we have a basic concept revealed, but what does it look like? And what does it sound like? Well, we'd get a possible answer to that latter question the 24th of April 2017, when Dennis's Twitter put out a call for genres or artists making music similar to classic anime soundtracks. He gives the soundtrack of Guyver Bio-Boosted Armor, an anime released in Japan from 1989 to 1992, as an example of what he's talking about, stating FM synths all the way. I believe it's worthwhile noting that in the comments, he specifies wanting original compositions, which would lead me to suggest he's looking for music to get the rights for, as that's how they did it for both Hotline games, especially the second, where many artists sent them music directly. I should point out that in 2014, he made a similar call for music, asking for people who could write classic noir music, citing this album. If anything though, I think the tweet from 2017 is far more likely to be the kind of music for Sector X, if either of them do at all, and you'll see what I'm talking about in a second. Only a few days later, April 27th, 2017, we'd actually get our first look at Sector X gameplay. Behind Dennis's finger. Yeah. The caption claims their software capture failed, so I suppose they're using one laptop webcam to record the screen of another laptop playing the game, DPS gaming style. As desperate as this comes off, I zoomed into the one visible corner of the game. All you can make out is some colors and camera movement, but I would say it's got the left and right moving and jumping of a side-scroller, and the orange and blue colors we see will be very important later on. This might not be much, but this is the turning point where the teasers just stopped being from word of mouth and started becoming things that we could actually see. The next thing is equally unimpressive. August 23rd, 2017 gives us a goofy line of code that tells us Sector X will feature avocados. Perhaps as an inventory item, a prop, maybe even a weapon. I'm not very savvy with code, so I don't know what any of this means. However, in the comments, we learned that this code is GameMaker Studio 1, and that might mean something to someone savvy with the different GameMaker releases, but not to me, so let's move on. The final tease via Dennis's Instagram is much more substantial. Bolts. Without them, you're screwed. Posted May 15th, 2018, Dennis didn't give much context for this, but based off the caption, a word from our sponsor, I assume that it's an in-game advertisement for a power-up item of some sorts. It looks like a beer for robots. In the comments, he stated that it comes with some friends, so it might be a way to spawn friendly NPCs. Nothing's clear so far, but it's definitely a cool little animation for world building. So that's every hint that we've been given on their social media or leaked. This year's E3 rolled by with no official news from the Devolver panel. They only covered 3 games. That's too bad. Maybe next year. Hold the phone! What? July 30th, 2018, 2 weeks after E3 came and went, a Redditor by the name of Cryptods137 claims Dennaton's next game was shown at E3. Here it is.
Margaret! I would like you to meet the Devolver Digital Entertainment System Classic. This adorable box of plastic.
That screen, there, that is Sector X. What was initially thought to be a goofy joke pointing fun at Nintendo for re-releasing old consoles. They never actually explained what the game on screen was next to the Devolver Digital Entertainment Classic. But that's Sector X. This is crazy genius, as they actually masked a real reveal with a joke reveal, despite the game being right there in plain sight. Of course, no one was supposed to know this was Sector X, but Cryptods was able to put together that the flashing door animation here was the reverse of the one seen on the Bolts can, and a lot of Dennaton's trademarks, such as surreal backgrounds and pixel art, were present. This also fits the information we know so far as a post-apocalyptic side-scroller, and the gameplay even matches up with the footage covered by the finger, with the orange and blue colors and the side-scrolling camera work. Finally, the last bit of confirmation we received was both the Hotline Miami and Devolver Digital Twitter accounts liked a tweet from Hotline miami.txt showing off this discovery. So stellar job, dude, on finding that. Who knows how long it would have gone over her head if you hadn't put the pieces together. Now to analyze the gameplay. It isn't much. It's actually a shorter clip than it's even shown. It's just looping. The player starts out walking down a catwalk past some strange-looking towers, and the first thing you can notice here is that there's a health bar and a bar below it signifying something else, but we immediately now know that it's not a game that you're going to die in a single hit. It then cuts to an indoors bit. It descends down some stairs where you can see a possible enemy above, then walks to a shining black door and opens a menu called Status Upgrade. Armor 10, Energy 10, Power 10, Proficiency 0, Resistance, which is misspelled, 0, Luck 0, Intelligence also 0. I believe the last two say next, and then that one says level. The player then exits the upgrade menu and walks into an actual door, and that's where the footage loops. And that's it. We don't see combat, cutscenes, or anything else really. I'm extremely curious how the side-scroller combat will work, especially with the deeper stat mechanics, anything we've seen in a Dennaton game so far. The upgrade menu is probably the most interesting screen from the entire thing, as it seems you have an RPG-like stats and leveling system. Games like System Shock or Fallout come to mind, especially where the highest skill goes up to 10. Reddit user Marquez Mark also pointed out that the upgrade menu quite looks like the Terminator's red overlay, leading to speculation that it could be taking influences from 80s action cinema. That would make a lot of sense, seeing as, well, this is Dennaton, 80s nostalgia is their thing. Hotline Miami 1 and 2 were both heavily inspired from other media that the developers enjoyed. Obviously Drive and Beverly Hills Cop and even Kick-Ass 2. At this stage, seeing what media that they're taking interest in will tell us much more about the game than this small bit of gameplay. Calling back to the AMA in 2015, Dennis's list of 5 favorite games, Probotector definitely seems like the closest one to Sector X, and I wager it will have a big influence. You can watch the gameplay of the entire game here. Probotector, I'm not sure how to pronounce it, that is the European title for Contra Hardcore. And just like in the Sector X gameplay, we see a metal-looking dude holding a gun, shooting, jumping, side-scrolling in a surreal sci-fi setting. Other Contra games, like Contra 3, The Alien Wars, are also in the same post-apocalyptic setting, with the European versions being released as Super Probotector, and all the player characters were changed into cyborgs, which makes a lot of sense with the upgrade menu seeming so Terminator-y. The Guyver Anime also shares similar themes of futuristic military dudes in helmets. Here, they're turning into crazy monsters and fighting. It's quite gory, another Dennaton trademark, and it has tit cannons. The whole series can be found on YouTube here. The last small bit is Jonathan recently was seen reading the entirety of Akira, one of the quintessential 80s mangas from Japan. This definitely leads me to believe that they're looking at Japanese animation from the 80s as a huge influence for this game. It got me thinking about the RoboCop parody at the end of the Devolver video, and if they're connected in some way. It wouldn't surprise me if the game is officially shown at next E3 with a Robo-Nina as the presenter, especially if it's influenced by the 80s action cinema and anime like I'm predicting. Hotline is definitely one of Devolver's flagship franchises, and they will definitely make a large marketing push when this game is ready. So that's it. That's everything I have on the subject of Sector X. To summarize, confirmed, it is not actually going to be called Sector X. It's made in Game Maker Studio 1. It's a side-scroller with a leveling system, and it's got avocados. For speculation, we believe it's going to have a lot of anime 80s influences. It's going to be post-apocalyptic or extremely futuristic. It will feature cyborgs and feature music similar to classic anime soundtracks, or at least have music made by FM synths. As a disclaimer, I might be wrong about everything. This might not even be Sector X gameplay footage. There's been nothing official to confirm that it has been so far. But it's all we have to go on, and the pieces line up pretty well in my opinion. But it'll be interesting to see how well my speculation holds up when the game is finally released. Let me know what you think in the comments. But until then, we're just gonna have to wait. I hope that Dennaton takes as much time as they need in the project, and I'm sure it'll gonna be a third masterpiece. Thanks for watching, everyone. I am a massive fan of Dennaton, and hunting this mystery down has been quite a lot of fun to research. Let me know if I got something wrong, or if I forgot something. I might make a second part to this if we get enough information to share. But with gameplay finally released, I'm hoping that we're going to get some more teases this year, and perhaps a full reveal in 2019. Until then, I'll be working on more videos about Hotline Miami 1 and 2, and if that interests you, stick around.